Your devotees have access everywhere, including the spiritual world. Those who are not yet pure devotees, they don't have access till they become 100% pure devotees. They don't have access to the Vaikuntha planet. But these Kumaras, they entered. There's a Durvasa Muni. He got entered into Vaikuntha.
He tries to escape from the Sudarshan Chakra after offending Durvasa, after offending Ambarish Maharaj. So that you will hear in the 9th canto. So like that, some extraordinary circumstances the Lord will permit something very, very unusual. But this is the inconceivable nature of the Supreme Lord. The whole incident itself is very difficult to understand by logic, in terms of the laws. You cannot understand. Whatever is happening, the whole thing is completely inconceivable. So the Lord, everybody goes to see the Lord in his abode. They will go to where he is seated. But in this case, the Lord himself has come. The Lord himself has come to meet the Kumaras. He himself has come to the door. Like in South India, there is one Vaikuntha Ekadashi festival, celebration. You would have heard of it. It's become very famous in our Bangalore temple also. And now many other temples also. Mysore also. Very famous festival. What is that festival? That festival is celebrating the Lord coming to the north gate of the Vaikuntha to receive his devotee, to welcome his devotee who is going back to Godhead. You see? So something similar, this is also like Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Of course, the Tithi is not mentioned here when the Kumaras went. But once happened to go, the Lord came to welcome them. And immediately on seeing the Lord, the Kumaras, they were very much ecstatic. Just to see the beauty of the Lord, they went into ecstasy. And with their eyes, they were just unblinking. They were drinking the beauty of the Lord through their eyes. Why drinking? Because the nectarian form of the Lord, Amrit. Amrit means it is unlimited, unlimitedly tasty, and it is of the spiritual quality. Amrit means it is of the spiritual quality. And that they forgot everything about where they are, what is happening. They become angry at the doorkeepers who stopped them. But when the Lord came, they forgot all that. And then immediately they paid obeisances to the Lord. And they paid obeisances. The Lord's lotus feet is always decorated with tulsi leaves. And these tulsi leaves also sometimes they are smeared with kesar chandan. Smeared with chandan, but sometimes the chandan also is further made more fragrant with mixing it with kesar chandan. So they smelt that tulsi leaves, fragrant tulsi leaves, and immediately as the fragrance entered their nostrils, they became devotees, pure devotees, instantaneously. Otherwise, they were impersonalists. Liberated souls, they only had realization of the impersonal feature of the Lord. So, if they have only realization of the impersonal feature, when they entered Vaikuntha, what was their conception? That like there are so many planets, upper planets, in their conception, before they became pure devotees, Vaikuntha is also one of the upper planets. Vaikuntha is also one of the upper planets. And in a sense, if you consider the abode of Vishnu, maintainer Vishnu, it is also counted among the upper planets. But the fact is, Shvetadvipa, where Vishnu, the maintainer, stays, Kshirodaka Shayi Vishnu, even though it is like one of the upper planets, it is special. That anybody goes to that Shvetadvipa, they cannot see the Lord. The Lord is present. So even the Devatas, they go to Shvetadvipa, then they sit on the shore of the milk ocean, Kshira Sagar, and they pray to the Lord. They can't see the Lord. They can see the island. Dvipa means island. Shvetadvipa because in the middle of the milk ocean. So they are sitting on one side. The other side of the ocean, in the center of the ocean, there is this this island. So in the island, Vishnu is there. But they can't see Vishnu. So they just close their eyes or whatever, open their eyes, it doesn't matter. They just offer prayers. And then through Brahma's heart, Lord Vishnu will answer their prayers or communicate to them through Brahma's heart. Even the entire Vedic knowledge, the beginning of creation, Lord Vishnu gave it through Brahma to the heart of Brahma. He gave the entire Vedic knowledge. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So entire Vedic knowledge was given like that. Same way, the Devatas, they receive the message from the Supreme Lord through Brahma. So that way this planet is very special. It is counted among the upper planets in this universe, but it doesn't, it is not created like the upper planets. All the planets are created except Vishnu's planet. Vishnu's planet is eternal. It is in the same category as the spiritual world. It is in the category of Vaikuntha planets. So in that Vaikuntha planet, everything there is spiritual actually. So this Vaikuntha planet where Vishnu stays, just like Vishnu appears and disappears, similarly the Vaikuntha planet where Vishnu stays, Shvetadvipa, appears and disappears. It is not destroyed like the other planets. The other planets, including Brahmaloka, are created, maintained and destroyed. But Vaikuntha planet is not created, it is not destroyed. Neither it requires any maintenance, it just appears and disappears. Exactly like Vishnu appears and disappears. Krishna appears and disappears. Like that. So disappears means he simply becomes invisible to our vision. That's the meaning of disappearance. He is always present. His abode is always there. His form is always there. His activities are always going on. Just that when he becomes visible, we say he is incarnated. He is incarnated. Sometimes he incarnates in such a way that he becomes visible to our ordinary vision. He also incarnates in such a way that he is not visible but he is heard. Just like Narada, in his previous life, he was doing meditation and the Lord gave him darshan within his heart. Because Lord is present in the heart. And then for a moment he gave the darshan and he became invisible. So Narada was very disturbed that such a beautiful form, I had darshan, now I lost. So he tried to have second time darshan. So second time darshan, he tried in so many ways he could not have. He became very, very unhappy. Then the Lord spoke. And Lord spoke and said, you cannot have any more darshan like the brief glimpse of darshan you had once. But in any case, you continue your meditation and you'll achieve perfection. After that, you'll come back to me. So Narada Muni was very pleased and satisfied. He could hear the Lord second time. First time he could just briefly see. So, don't consider or don't think the Lord as one of us. Neither his form, nor his personality, nor his activities, nor his qualities are conceivable by us. To some extent, we can know from the scriptures, from the acharyas, by the mercy of the Lord, he reveals a small extent, because we are very, very tiny. So how much we can actually understand, or how much we can even receive. Our capacity to hear or understand or to receive this knowledge is very limited. So therefore, here in the Bhagavatam, this inconceivable Lord is revealed through the great devotees. Just like here, this is a description by Brahma to the Devatas. This is being narrated by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj and all the assembled saintly persons. And then it's also being recorded by Vyasadeva in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And is also being spoken by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. What is happening at certain time, according to our time scale, that is a historical incident for us now. At the time of birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, everything became dark. Whole universe became dark. That never happens. When somebody is born, why should the universe become dark? Every planet on the universe, there is sunrise and sunset. So sunrise, the darkness is dispelled of the night, and when sun sets, darkness sets in, correct? But here, suddenly there is darkness everywhere, all the planets, the whole universe. So demigods become completely bewildered. So they all rush to Brahma. What is happening? What's happening? What's happening? Brahma says, nothing out of my control. Everything is fine. It's just that 2 demons are going to take birth. So why everything has to become dark? Then he explains what's happening. So in explanation, he describes the Vaikuntha planet. And he describes the Kumaras wandering and entering and what all happened. That the 2 doorkeepers were cursed, Jaya and Vijaya, to take birth on this in this world as demons for 3 births. Something extraordinary. Something totally extraordinary. So the Lord has come when the Kumaras were stopped by the doorkeepers, Jaya Vijaya, and he actually spoke in such a way that Kumaras were bewildered. And why is he speaking like this? We can't understand. He is begging forgiveness on behalf of his doorkeepers for being stopped. So then the Lord speaks in that way, and then the Kumaras, they respond. So their response is a series of verses. This verse which says, dharmasya paramo guhyaḥ. This is also told in the Bhagavad-gītā by Krishna. Where is it told? The verse. Same thing Krishna says. Dharmasya paramo guhyaḥ. 18.64 Sarva guhyatamam bhūyaḥ shunu me paramam vachaḥ. Paramam and guhyam, guhyatamam, sarva guhyatamam. That is described here as dharmasya paramo guhyo. And what is that dharmasya paramo guhyo? That is, as Prabhupada says, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. And in executing dharma, ultimately, one has to come to the point of surrender to Krishna. So that is the real objective of dharma. That is the real objective of dharma. The objective of dharma, sometimes people think, is the 4 purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. By executing religious principles, people think we are able to get some money, wealth, artha, and then kama, sense gratification, sense satisfaction, fulfillment of material desires, and finally moksha, liberation. And what is their understanding of liberation? Getting out of this material existence, of becoming free from all material miseries, and merging into the existence of God. This is their understanding of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But this dharma, artha, kama, moksha is really intended to bring us to the point of surrender to Krishna, surrender to the Supreme Lord. So this is explained in the scriptures, but it is the most confidential portion of the Vedic literature. Most confidential means, in what way is it confidential? Just like the most confidential knowledge in the Bhagavad-gītā is described in the 9th chapter. Now, if it is described in the 9th chapter, how do you say it is secret? It directly revealed by Krishna, and it is there in the Bhagavad-gītā. So, in what way we can understand that it is described as guhyaḥ? 9.1 Idam tute guhyatamam pravakshami. I am now going to speak to you something very, very confidential. So why is it called confidential? And directly Krishna is telling what is that confidential thing. Directly he is telling. The confidential is that to realize that, to understand that, to know that, you require to have qualification. You require to have qualification. That's the reason so many people read Bhagavad-gītā or they study Bhagavad-gītā, but they don't come to this conclusion. The conclusion of Lord Kṛṣṇa in his advice to Arjuna is, give up all other religious engagement and just surrender unto me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So this conclusion is given directly in the Bhagavad-gītā. But because it is confidential, those who are unqualified cannot understand what it really means. To them, it seems like it is contradictory instruction. Because throughout the Bhagavad-gītā, before coming to the 18th chapter, Krishna tells about dharma, talks about dharma. And so many things it tells about dharma. Religious principles. Finally, he says, give up all religious principles. Sarva dharman parityajya. So far, whatever I told you, just give it up. Parityajya. Completely give it up. Mamekam sharanam vraja. And simply surrender to me alone. Mamekam. Not mam sharanam. Mam ekam sharanam. Me alone. Nobody else. So, this is very difficult to understand for those who are not qualified. And what is that qualification? That also Krishna tells. Why am I telling you this most confidential and topmost instruction? Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaḥ shrunu me paramam vachaḥ ishtosi me dridamiti tato vakshami te hitam. Something like that. Let me read that. 64th verse. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaḥ shrunu me paramam vachaḥ ishtosi me. Why am I telling you? Because you are very, very dear to me. Ishtosi me. Dridamiti. And you are very dear to me. And dridam is even more dear, dearer than the other dear persons. Very, very, very dear. Ishtosi me dridamiti tato vakshami te hitam. Therefore, I am speaking this to you, most confidential, topmost instruction. Paramam vachaha sarva guhyatamam. Because it is meant for your benefit. Te hitam. For your benefit I am speaking. So, earlier also, in the 4th chapter itself, transcendental knowledge, that is also confidential knowledge. That also Krishna told Arjuna, I am revealing this to you because you are my friend, you are my devotee, and you are situated in a devotional relationship, a friendly relationship. What does he say about this confidential thing in the 4th chapter? स एवायं मया तेद्य योग प्रोक्त पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यम एतद उत्तमम. This is a transcendental mystery, rahasyam. It is transcendental mystery. So I am revealing to you because bhaktosi me, you are my devotee. This is a qualification for something confidential to be understood or to be revealed or to be received. One should have qualification. The qualification is you have to be a devotee. And what kind of devotee? Situated in a eternal relationship. That's why the 4th chapter, many people don't understand. What is this 4th chapter talking about? They think it is some knowledge Krishna is giving. Spiritual knowledge. Yeah, he is giving spiritual knowledge, but he is giving spiritual knowledge which is very, very confidential. Rahasyam etad uttamam. And Prabhupada says that first verse of the 4th chapter, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam. That yoga, Prabhupada translates in such a way that nobody else would have ever translated like that except another pure devotee or acharya. Yoga, the word yoga, Prabhupada says, the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. It's a totally revolutionary kind of presentation. Is there any clue of this meaning in that word yoga? Yoga, if you see the word for meaning, 4.1, Bhagavad-gītā, the science of one's relationship with the Supreme. Because it is confidential, therefore he just says yoga. Prabhupada explains in the last purport of the 4th chapter, 4.42 purport. The yoga system described in this chapter is called Sanatana Yoga. Everybody thinks Krishna has explained Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Where is Sanatana Yoga coming from? It is coming in Parampara, this understanding. And what Krishna is explaining, the science of yoga, is actually Sanatana Yoga. Why does Prabhupada say Sanatana Yoga? It's because the Sanatana Yoga is described by Prabhupada as eternal activities performed by the living entity. Eternal activities performed by the living entity. Sanatana Yoga. So yoga means action. Yoga means activity. Yoga means activity. And what kind of activity? Eternal activity. And eternal activity performed by the living entity, and it is performed in a relationship. With whom? With the Supreme Lord. See, all this is communicated by Krishna in one word, yogam. Now, where will you get all this understanding and this detailed explanation? Only in the parampara system. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. This knowledge is understood or received only if you receive it in parampara system. Only if you get this knowledge through parampara system. Otherwise, impossible. And very easy to understand. Who can ever speculate and figure this out? Why Krishna tells Sarva Dharman Parityajya? After telling Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, I come to establish Dharma, and then he speaks about Dharma, 17 chapters, from 2nd chapter to 17th chapter. 18th chapter says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Whatever I told you so far, you just forget that, discard that. Mamekam Sharanam, just simply surrender to me. And if by doing so you may incur sinful reactions, don't worry. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Ma shuchaha. Don't worry. I will free you from all sinful reactions. If you have to surrender, and to surrender you have to give up your duties, prescribed duties. Prescribed duties you have to give up. Then, don't worry, if there are any sinful reactions, I will free you. You don't bother about sinful reactions. So this is revolutionary. They don't understand. People don't understand this. So therefore, here in today's verse, the Kumaras are telling the Lord, dharmasya paramo guhyaḥ. You are the supreme objective of religious principles. By practicing dharma, we are meant to attain Krishna, or reach Krishna, or become situated in our eternal relationship with Krishna. Yoga, that's called yoga. And Krishna is also described as the Supreme Lord. You are the source of the eternal occupation of all living entities. What is our eternal occupation? Called Swarupa. Jivera Swarupa Nityera Krishna Dasa. Nitya Krishna Dasa. Eternally servant of Krishna. And as servant you are meant to render loving devotional service to Krishna in a loving relationship. Each one of us, every living entity. And therefore, Krishna is the source of that love, of that relationship, the basis of that relationship. And by your multi-manifestations of personalities of Godhead. Personalities of Godhead means different incarnations appear in this material world from time to time. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham sambhavami yuge yuge. So all that is explained here as, by your multi-manifestations of personalities of Godhead, you have always protected religion. Always protecting religion, protecting dharma. Because when dharmasya glani happens, that means people either neglect dharma or misinterpret dharma or concoct some different meanings of dharma. They come up with their own religious principles, or they concoct or manufacture their religious systems. Then Krishna comes to correct that. And therefore he says, dharma samsthapanarthaya. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. To give us the correct understanding of dharma, and that is called here as protecting dharma. Tvattaha sanatano dharmo rakshate. Sanatano dharmo rakshate. Eternal religious principles. So eternal religious principles means eternal religion is simply devotional service. That's all. There's nothing else. Therefore, Prabhupada, throughout the Bhagavad-gītā, he says, Krishna is only explaining devotional service, nothing else. People think Krishna is explaining 4 different types of yoga systems. Karma yoga, yoga of action, yoga of knowledge, jnana yoga, yoga of meditation, dhyana yoga, yoga of devotion, bhakti yoga. But Prabhupada says Krishna is only explaining bhakti yoga, nothing else. So, how do we understand Krishna is only explaining bhakti yoga? 6th chapter, last verse purport in the Bhagavad-gītā, if you read. Yoga means bhakti yoga. All other yoga systems are meant to come to the point of bhakti. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyaha. From all the Vedas, I am to be known. Krishna says, 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyam. You see? Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is no truth higher than me. And Arjuna declares, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. You are the supreme Brahman. You are the supreme truth. You are the supreme objective. So, this is the most confidential knowledge, this is the most confidential truth, this is the highest truth, the supreme truth in all the Vedic literatures, all the Vedas. Whether it is Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda or Upasana Kanda, whether it is the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, whether it is the Brahmana, Samhita, Upanishad or Aranyaka, whatever it be, whatever the process, whatever the division of the Vedas, whatever the system of practice people follow, the ultimate goal is Krishna. Finished. Tvattaha sanatano dharmo rakshate. You protect. Then nirvikaro bhavan mataha. But even though you appear in so many different forms of incarnations, you are inexhaustible, avyaya or nirvikara. Avyaya. In the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna is called avyaya, described as avyaya. It's inexhaustible. His form is unchanging, unchangeable eternally. Nirvikara, another meaning is eternally unchangeable. And nirvikara also means inexhaustible. Inexhaustible means he is the unlimited source of everything. His energies are unlimited. His spiritual world is unlimited. His wealth is unlimited. His strength is unlimited. His beauty is unlimited. Everything about Krishna is unlimited. So therefore inexhaustible. Something limited means you go on taking, then it will get exhausted sooner or later. But inexhaustible means never gets exhausted. So that is Krishna. So one last point, this inexhaustible is very interesting explanation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that one of the pastimes of the Lord is that he awards 4 types of liberation to his devotees. One of the types of liberation is called Sarshti Mukti. Sarshti Mukti means the devotee is given by the Lord equal opulence as that of his own. Krishna, whatever his wealth or his opulence, his wealth, he gives it to his devotee. That's called Sarshti Mukti. So, which means that if a devotee goes to Vaikuntha after attaining this Sarshti liberation, and Krishna will give him his wealth equal to his own. That means whatever his becomes the devotee's. मेरा जो कुछ है अभी तुम्हारा है. I am giving you. And this pastime was performed. Anyway, I don't want to digress. If I digress, I will never complete my point. No, class will not get over. So, when Krishna gives away, that means he becomes bankrupt. Is it? Pauper. No, Krishna does not become bankrupt. Then how can we say he is given everything he had if he doesn't become bankrupt? What is remaining with Krishna? So, this is only understood if you read carefully Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it says Krishna's wealth is ever increasing. Ever increasing. If it are not ever increasing, then if he gives all his wealth to somebody, he becomes bankrupt. Is it not? So therefore, because his wealth is ever increasing, as soon as he gives all his wealth to his devotee, immediately he gets that very moment the wealth which is equal to the sum total of all the wealth. And the sum total of all the wealth is something which is inconceivable for us. It is unlimited wealth. Which means that he has got an unlimited amount of wealth. So there is nothing like he gives all his wealth to a devotee. There is nothing like all his wealth to his devotee he gives. When it said he gives all his wealth means whatever the devotee can think or conceive is the wealth of Krishna. That much Krishna gives. Like sometimes the father will ask the son, Beta, तेरे को क्या चाहिए? Right? Because generally parents will promise a child that if you do this, I'll get you this. If you do this, I'll get you this. Sometimes the father will ask the child, okay, what do you want? Child doesn't have a choice generally. Very rarely the father will ask, what do you want? I'll get you that. But the child will be excited at that offer. He'll start thinking, what should I ask? What should I ask? What should I ask? Because the child's thinking is so very limited, it can't ask the father something with impossible for the father to give. You see? When will the father say that? Only when he knows child can ask only some small thing only. Because thinking is like that. Thinking is not you see, very, very, like, it's not like the father's thinking. Huh? So only such cases. Therefore, when it says, Shastra says, that the devotee is given the wealth equal to that of the Lord, that is, equal cannot be unlimited. You cannot become unlimited. You cannot possess unlimited wealth. Why? Because you are limited. That's the reason. The constitutional position is we are limited, Krishna is constitutionally unlimited. So therefore Krishna is always having unlimited wealth, and we always can have, even if Krishna gives us some wealth, it can only be limited. Can only be limited. But that limited wealth, as much as you want, that much Krishna will give. As much as you want. Even in the material world also, that's true. Though in the material world, Krishna gives wealth, or Krishna gives anything that the worshipper of Krishna asks or prays for, because the living entity is limited, he can't think of unlimited. He can't conceive what is unlimited. Not possible. So there's no question of asking Krishna, give me unlimited wealth. Somebody may try that. Okay? To ask Krishna. So then Krishna will ask you, what is your conception of unlimited? So our conception of unlimited also will be limited only, because we are limited. So therefore, Krishna, his wealth never gets exhausted. Now you understand? Inexhaustible. So when he gives something to his devotee, which describes as wealth equal to his own, that equal to his own is the limited conception of the devotees. As far as he is concerned, he is unlimited. He doesn't have any limited wealth. And even if he wants to give the devotee unlimited wealth, the devotee himself is limited. He cannot become unlimited. So he cannot possess unlimited wealth. He cannot possess unlimited wealth. Like, even if I want to feed you 100 chapatis, you cannot eat 100 chapatis in one meal, one time. You cannot eat. So therefore, it's like that. Your capacity to eat is always limited. So you cannot, if somebody offers you more than what you can eat, you cannot eat. Like that, Krishna is inexhaustible. I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.